So welcome back guys to part 2 of my learning German in 10 days. Halfway through the holiday now, I've got about 5 days left to try and get fluent, which obviously isn't going to happen. I'm struggling to talk in the basics. I can write the basics very well with all the practice, but I've not really had much practice speaking, because as I mentioned at the end of the last episode, it doesn't really teach me speaking much on these apps. I need to actually do it if I'm not using Pimsleur. Pimsleur is very good for learning to speak. If I don't use Pimsleur for this challenge, it makes it increasingly more difficult to learn to speak the language, and I've learned that throughout the challenge. So we'll have to see what I can learn over the next few days to try and bolster that and get it to the level which I wanted it to be.
Hi guys, I just want to take a quick second out of this video to let you know about one of my favourite language learning apps. It is a vocab builder called Linguist, which not only teaches you vocab like other apps like Drops, etc. do, or flashcards do, but it also teaches you the word in the middle of a sentence so that you can grasp how to use the word, the concept of it, and also learn vocabulary in the sentence aside from the word which is targeted. As well as this, it also teaches you grammar and helps you really be immersed in the language when learning the grammar and the vocab. And I think it is by far the best option to go for if you are trying to quickly acquire vocab and understanding of how different words work and sentences are formed in your target language. It is called Linguist. You'll be able to see examples of it on the screen right now. And they've been kind enough to help me out with a lot of my language learning videos by providing me with an affiliation and also a discount code for all of you guys. If you use the discount code BENBEPS, you'll be able to try it free for 1 month and see why I love it so much. It has a multitude of different languages. Of course, the mainstream ones like Spanish and French, but it's also got Portuguese and Estonian, which is really cool. Very obscure language, which I don't know how many learners it would have, but it's great that they offer it, as not many apps would offer something like that. So yeah, make sure to check the link out in the description. Use the code BENBEPS to get a free month, and I really hope you enjoy using it. Back to the video.
So, time to get into my Linguist for today, as well as Buzu. I'm getting through the Buzu course really quick. I'm getting almost to the end of the newcomer part. But yeah, Linguist, like I said, is really good for the vocab acquisition, aside from the grammar, which other apps seem to focus more on. And it has a really good structure. If you want to get it, I've got a link down in the description of my code and stuff you can use and check out. Go and check out in the description. But yeah, time to get into today's learning. I'm going to focus on Buzu and Linguist in the car on the way over to the other hotel. I might also work for a bit more for Babbel grammar course as well. One app I should probably give a bit of a shout out to actually is Mango Languages, because I kind of rubbished it a bit in my Finland series, I believe, saying it's not that good, and for Finnish it really is a bit average. It doesn't have too much on it, but then again, most apps don't have loads for Finnish. I just think it was particularly bad because it's repetitive and stuff. But for the German course, it's actually really good because it has the whole structured building sentences, flashcards thing, the way you work for it normally. It also then has a separate flashcard section. It has stories, it has audio, so you have to listen to a story and stuff like that. It has a lot more content for German, and it's a lot more engaging the way it presents it than Finnish, where it's just incredibly repetitive and gets very boring. So yeah, Mango Languages is one I want to work for a bit more in the next few days. I've already done a bit of the course. I haven't spoken about it much in the videos on here, but I've been working through that as well, first time mentioning it, and I'll probably want to put a little bit more time into that over the next few days because it's actually really good. Again, doesn't solve the problem of not being able to speak loads. That's something I'm going to have to try and work on. Maybe I could practice conversations in my head a bit more, and maybe even when on days out and about make a bit more of an effort to talk to people. Although I don't have loads of opportunities, there's not loads of things you say to locals. When we go to restaurants, it's all the same stuff like, can I have water? Ich will Kaffee. Können wir haben Kaffee für den Tisch? Can we have coffee at the table? And it's hard to get into any kind of small talk other than that, so that's again another place I struggle. If you were to come and live here, you'd have your life here and you'd end up making friends at, I know, a bar or a gym or somewhere, and you'd end up talking to people to use the language. But when you're on holiday it's a bit more of a struggle to put yourself in situations where you need to use more extensive use of the language other than just ordering a meal. We'll see how I get on over the next few days.
So this is the town of Ottobrunn in Germany with its famous cathedral up behind me. Just walking around the centre getting photos of the German buildings and obviously the cathedral. So we're at our second hotel in Germany now. That means we're deep into the second part of my Learning German in 10 Days challenge.
and I still have the problem which I had before of that it's easy to work through these courses but hard to like gain speaking ability. I'm just going to go back inside quickly. I've kind of stopped doing the Boozu course now because I'm getting out of my depth on that Boozu and getting into like advanced stuff, when in reality I'm still trying to do not necessarily the basic small talk but a bit beyond small talk, and when I get too deep into the course I'm kind of just guessing answers rather than actually learning stuff, because I'm going too fast paced for my brain to take it in. So I've kind of slowed down the progress on Boozu, been focusing a bit more on Mango languages as well as some Babel. Obviously doing the vocab on Lingvist, which although Lingvist is great and you go down to the description to get a free month if you want to try it out. Although it's great, it teaches you words as if you're going to learn the language absolutely fluently over the next 2 years. So it's teaching me words such as village, ort, or let me think of another example. Well, Beispiel, example. And that's not what I really need for learning it in 10 days when I want to be using it in Germany. I need to learn food, I need to learn, you know, stuff which you need to know when travelling. And although I would like to be able to speak German fluently one day, that's not ideal for this challenge. You can change the flashcard decks on Lingvist though, so I might look into doing that later, see if they have like a travel option. But although I'm definitely learning vocab very fast with it, it's not ideal for a 10-day challenge, but most of you will probably be learning a language for longer than 10 days, so definitely go to the link below and check out Lingvist. In terms of progress on other courses, I've only really been doing Mango languages, Babel and Lingvist. Obviously I said I've slowed down on Boozu. I was wondering if I should do a bit of Falu because that teaches you to talk, and I'll say my problem is talking naturally rather than trying to think of the words on the spot. Falu is very focused on talking, as is Rosetta Stone, so I could try out a bit of those. Although I've only got 2 days left of the challenge, so I don't know how much I'd be able to benefit from that in 2 days.
Hallo, wie geht es Ihnen? Ich bin Ben Bebs und mein Name ist Benjamin. Ich bin sehr gut. Ich spreche ein bisschen Deutsch und ich kann, yeah, I think I need to expand on the amount of verbs I know. Ich kann bezahlen und ja, ich bin sehr glücklich, because ich kann machen und bezahlen und spreche Menge Dinge, many things. Okay, so bit of a conclusion to this little 2-part series here of learning German in 10 days. So I think at most I can do a basic introduction of myself, and I didn't catch this on camera, so whether you want to believe it or not, I did manage to complain about an order in McDonald's in our last day in Germany. They missed out on apple pie which we bought, so I took the receipt up the counter. I was like, hallo, Entschuldigung, aber ich habe ich bezahle eine apple pie. I can't remember what name of it was. I read it off a receipt. Und ich habe nicht ein apple pie und ich will ein apple pie bitte. And the man brought it over, etc. So I managed to do something in the real world in German, except I don't have it on camera. There were also a few times at breakfast where I managed to ask for coffee and stuff. Entschuldigung, ich will eine Kaffee für den Tisch, bitte. And say a few bits like that, asking for different things for the table in German, which went smoothly, successfully. They understood and they brought it over. Some of them responded in German, some of them responded in English because they could tell I was English. But yeah, I was definitely able to survive in Germany speaking German to natives, and only German when I was called upon by my family to do so. So I think that's definitely a win for this little series. I definitely didn't get as far as I hoped I would in 10 days in German. If it was Portuguese, Italian, French or Spanish, if I didn't know bits of them already, I feel like I'd have done a lot better because they're very similar to languages that I know already. They're all romantic languages from Latin, whereas German is a Germanic language, one which I've never dabbled in before, a language group that I've never dabbled in before, so it's probably harder to accrue knowledge in that language in such a short time period than it would have been if it was a Latin language. Aside from this, I don't think I took the best approach doing lots of language learning apps. I think it would have been better if I'd picked well, it would have been better if I'd done Pimsleur or Rosetta Stone, that's for sure. I like the method they use to get you to talk. The only thing is, if I was doing it in 10 days, I don't think they're the best method to do it fast because they're very long, extensive courses. So maybe doing something like Babel, but fast tracking their grammar course, which is kind of what I was doing towards the end, but if I'd started doing that sooner, that might have been a good idea. I don't think the way I did things was best for vocab acquisition either, up until I switched to Linguist. Linguist is exceptional for vocab acquisition. I switched to doing that like halfway through challenge. I should have just done that from the start. It's better than drops because it shows it in context in a sentence. So I probably should have just been doing that instead of drops, well, I never really did loads of drops. Sorry, what apps was I using? Maybe I could have done that instead of doing Mango Languages. Mango Languages is very good, but I didn't do it from the start. If I'd done it from the start and kept consistent with it, that would have been a good option, but I kind of did a bit of that and dropped out. I did a lot of Buzu, which is good. It's like Babbel, but I was doing Babbel at the same time, so it became a bit redundant. I should have just stuck to Babbel, dropped Buzu. If I wanted to do Mango Languages, I should have done it from the start. Should have done Linguist from the start, and I shouldn't have bothered with Duolingo, because Duolingo is too extensive a course to do in 10 days. So I should have not wasted time on Duolingo. I should have done Linguist, the Babbel course, definitely the grammar part of the German Babbel course, and Mango Languages from the start. So now you know what apps I should have done, how I should have structured it. I'll just quickly give you a recap of what happened. So I went away for 10 days in Germany, as you know. So the way I was putting effort into the challenge was not taking a time out every day to study. I was trying to incorporate it into being in Germany. So I'd learn fruit and vegetables. I'd see them at breakfast. I'd see the words in context in the daily life, and I'd know them from what I was learning on the language learning apps. I would get in the car, would go on a day out. I'd spend half an hour in the car doing a language learning app. I'd spend another half an hour in the car later on doing a different one on the way home. So it was very much in the free time, in the dead time during the holiday, I'd be learning a language, making use of that dead time in a way other people don't, which was actually very effective. I probably did on average 2.5 hours a day, maybe 3 hours a day of learning German whilst in Germany, and also using it on a daily basis, or attempting to use it and understand things on a daily basis. And I think that is definitely the method I'd use going forward in terms of how I incorporate the language learning apps into the day and using and learning language into my daily life. I'd definitely do it that method again in future. Just the structure of the apps and the way I go about doing it might be slightly different, as I said a minute ago. Now, finally, will I be continuing to learn German? Will I be making this series and continuing with an episode 3, etc.? Unfortunately, I will not. At least not this year, because I have other plans with Finnish and maybe a bit more Portuguese, as you know, this year. So this was just a cool little 2-part mini-series of 10 days of learning German. Maybe I'll pick it up at some point in the next couple of years in the future, do a whole new series for that, but not in the short term, no. But yeah, that's all for this little mini-series. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed seeing the progress, seeing my little experiment, seeing if it's possible to pick up some German, which I've proved it is, in 10 days, then leave a like, subscribe if you're new, check out my other language learning videos that will come up on the screen in the outro. Turn on notifications so you get notified if I upload one in future, and I'll see you in the next video. Hasta luego. Oh, why am I saying hasta luego? That's Spanish. I should be saying it in German. Bis später und auf Wiedersehen. Tschüss.